And we are back, a midweek episode of the 6 Yard Line podcast, match week 26 recap, and we're going to come quick with today's show. What's up, Noel?
I don't know, man. I can't keep up. The news, the games, holy smokes. Like, can any more people be sacked in one day? We're going to get into it, but like, I just, I just feel like all we've done is talk about being sacked. And yeah, it's a pretty wild couple of days in the Premier League.
But I
All right,
guess we
let's
will get to the
get
big
on to the
game from
Spurs
Tuesday.
game because I think this is the
Let's
game
go.
out of the chaos. I think we said it on Monday that if they didn't get a result, Thomas Frank was going to be in trouble, and I think we knew it was going to happen, right? Because Newcastle hadn't won away in a while, and they also needed the result because they have been a bit of a weird patch themselves. But at the end of the day, this has been Spurs' MO for a while. We highlighted this week in the last 15 weeks or last 15 games, they haven't been good enough. And whether it's players listening to Thomas Frank, whether players not believing in his system, his style, his play, it just wasn't working. And then, they were down 1-0 after I think they scored in Newcastle scored in injury time at the end of the first half. And then Archie Gray gave them some hope on 64. And then, it goes down the other end of the pitch. Jacob Ramsey, 68 minutes, 4 minutes after equalizing, he bangs it home, and that's it. It pretty much ends the Thomas Frank experience at Spurs because they didn't ever really get going. Spurs weren't really mustering a lot. And, when you look at shots and things like that, Spurs had 16 to Newcastle's 21. Like, you're the home team. You should be winning that. They've only won twice at home all year. They haven't won this calendar year in the Premier League. And Thomas Frank is, relieved of his duties the following morning. The Spurs fans and the Newcastle fans, to be fair, were both singing "You're getting sacked" in the morning. And surely he was. And it's inevitable. Spurs have not been good enough for a long time. Do I think it's Thomas Frank? No, I don't think it's all Thomas Frank. I don't think these players brought into what he wanted to do. I think some of these players on this Spurs team have got ideas above the station. Their club captain's a joke. Romero, like the Mickey Mouse of defenders. I'm a World Cup winner. Like, you want a World Cup winner because of Messi. You didn't, and the help of FIFA. You didn't win it based on his performance or his play. And, guys like that, I think, generally have become egotistical with Spurs.
Yep.
And you saw it when they refused to shake Thomas Frank's hand earlier in the season.
Yeah.
Saw the disrespect. You see the Twitter posts. You see the social media posts. It's disrespect. They don't respect the club. They don't respect the manager. And he should have stripped him of the captaincy, set the tone, and told everybody, you're not world beaters. You're not. That squad is not a world beaters. That squad is good for about 6th, 7th, or 8th. That's about where they are. That's where they should be. And that's
Well,
a
I mean,
strong. And don't get me wrong, they've got injuries. We can't not say they don't. They do have a lot of players out. But when they're all fit and healthy, that best team is probably 8th.
yeah, and that's the thing is I think outsiders are able to analyze it a lot easier and look at the club for what it's worth. They're not a top club. And I think, Andrew's on one of those, the overlap. And, apparently he said that they're not a top 6 club. But in many ways, he's not wrong, right? They're a top 6 club maybe when it comes to the money they make, but that's about it. When it comes to what they put on the pitch as a team, they're not a big club. They're not a club that scares anyone in the Premier League. They're not one that each year are title contenders, that are not FA Cup contenders. They're not usually a team you're in that conversation. They're on the outside looking in. And I think there are players on that team that have this big club mentality, but don't play like a big club player. And that you're getting the result. Like, if we look at where they were last year and where they are right now, there's not much difference in how they're playing in the Premier League. They finished at 16th or 17th last season.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if you look at the 2024-2025 season, Ange got 30 points at this stage, and I think Thomas Frank had 29 points. So they haven't changed. Again, they had injuries, so you are going to you have to take that into account. That you can list quite a strong lineup that they're missing. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is like this club isn't good enough and hasn't been good enough. They don't invest. They have a wage cap structure that handicaps them against getting the really best players. They didn't go and recruit that well in January. They brought Conor Gallagher in, and that was about it. And Conor Gallagher is not going to change the world for you. He's just going to make you more solid. So at the end of the day, Thomas Frank didn't get a lot of help from the board. He didn't get a lot of help from the players. And I think the players didn't want to buy into it. I think there's a bit of snobbery in that. I think, again, this is like I referenced this today this is exactly the same as what happened when Nuno was there. The players didn't buy into it. Their egos and their cockiness is the real problem in that club. And a bunch of guys, pretty much down tools for most of the time and got the manager fired. So it is what it is, and I think that's what it's going to be. And I think whoever goes in next, it's got it's got a job to do, and it's going to be interesting to
Yeah.
see, who they bring in, because at the end of the day, you see all the names being linked. There's some that want Postecoglou back, which I think was highly entertaining. I think some want Pochettino back, but he's not going to give that job up with the USA with the World Cup looming. And I think at the end of the day, it sounds like it might be De Zerbi, who just got fired from Marseille. Was it yesterday? So
No, like, well, basically, but I heard De Zerbi's already kind of said he's looking to take a bit of a sabbatical, so he's not looking to jump back into coaching right away. And I mean, I could see De Zerbi, if anything, waiting till summer. Why, like, is the Spurs job that big of a job that it's the first one he's going to take? I could see him waiting to see what other positions open up. There might be something that suits his style more so, because truthfully, I don't see his personality coming in and working with Spurs, especially with the kind of players they currently have on the roster. So I think unless and if we know how Spurs ownership, I don't see them giving him full carte blanche where he can totally rebuild this roster.
yeah, I think they're going to struggle. Like, I think whoever's going to go in there, I think that the biggest thing is with Spurs, they don't believe they're in a relegation battle. We talked about this on Monday. And I think, we kind of said they're in a relegation fight whether they want to or not. I want to believe it or not, but they are. They are really just above there. They can't keep losing. So you've got to bring someone in that's got a little bit of, how do you say it, firefighting. You got to have someone that's got to really fire up the crowd and kind of get those players moving and motivating and really kind of drive that energy to push them away. Because at the end of the day, Nuno's got West Ham fighting like that. Leeds have been under Farker have been fighting like that. And Forest have had 1 week good, 1 week bad. We'll get onto them in a minute. But at the end of the day, those teams in and around that bottom five is like, well, I say the bottom five above Burnley and Wolves is one. It could be one of five teams that goes down, and I don't really
Yep.
know who it's going to be. And if they don't get the right person, if they get somebody comes in, if they go and hire like an ex-player, like I think who did they have last time? That was not the greatest. Keeps getting it. I can't remember his name. Dang it. But if you don't get this appointment right for whether it's short term, long term, or whatever else, Spurs could get relegated if you don't get it right. Right, and they've got to react quick, and they should have. If they've sacked him, they should have had a plan. But it doesn't seem like they had a plan. So I don't really know who they're going to go if they don't go to De Zerbi, and if they don't get somebody like that in. But I don't know if De Zerbi's got that fight in him. Do you know what I mean? So, but we'll see.
We'll get. Yeah, I guess the only time will tell. I'm sure in the next few days we will figure that out or find out who is stepping in to take that position. But
I will say though, the fun suggestions, the fun name suggestions. I sent you the one where somebody tweeted Harry Redknapp, and then he's like somebody called Crouchy, somebody called Nico, And then Peter Crouch tweeted back at him, "I'm ready. Let's get the band back together." I gotta say that was fantastic. And then whoever did the Sam Allardyce, unknown Italian manager, and it's Sam Allardyce with an Italian mustache. That one is going around today. That one did make me laugh. Unknown Italian manager Sam Allardyce is the man to call in this situation. So that one was pretty entertaining. But yeah, there's some really good funny ones out there, but I don't know who they're going to get in.
But that's it for us. As usual, make sure you hit that subscribe button and, of course, smash a like. Helps with our algorithm and the numbers here on the YouTube. So that's it for me, Noel.
Yeah, that's it for me too.
All right, folks.
Too busy with all these manager updates. That's what's the problem right now. Can we just get through tomorrow without firing somebody or hiring somebody? That would be great.
Oh, yeah, that would be nice to have a bit of a break from that. But you know what? Like I said, there are other coaches on the hot seat, but they're probably safe up until at least the next match week 27. So I think we're good for now.
Thanks for watching, guys.
All right, take care. Peace.